You'll be opening your Bibles up to Numbers chapter 13. We'll be taking a look at that in just a second. I know I've said this before. I appreciate the song that Brother Nate led us in. But when Clarissa and I were in Stillwater, Oklahoma, there was a very small girl that didn't know the words. And so for that song, it's "Here We Are But Stinking Pilgrims." And so I will never forget that. And I can imagine if you're on a pilgrimage and you might stink a little bit. So that was something I always remembered, and I'll never forget it. So I've got a question for you to think about tonight. Have you ever lost sight of the honey because of the giants? You know, I love the imagery of and the use of honey throughout the Bible, and the Old Testament especially, all the way back in Genesis when Jacob is going to send gifts to Joseph, not knowing it was Joseph, and one of the things that he sent him was honey. We know that when God is going to save His people from the land of Egypt and is going to take them to the promised land, what did He tell Moses in a burning bush? I'm going to give you a land flowing with milk and honey. So I actually just got this yesterday. I had to pay a little extra just to get the honeycomb. We know in the Psalms the use of honey. It's used quite often. The law of the Lord is sweeter than honey, even the honeycomb. What do you think of, though, whenever you think of the terminology, a land flowing with milk and honey? I think of abundance. If you're going to have a land that has a lot of milk, then you're going to have milk-producing animals, and they're going to be able to be sustained because of the lush grass and the water. Obviously, if you're going to have honey, you're going to have bees. What does it take to have bees? You're going to have plants that pollinate, and so there's this amount of abundance and blessing that I think about when I think about a land flowing with milk and honey. It's that term is used roughly 20 times in the King James Version of our Old Testament. It's a land flowing with milk and honey. Well, in Numbers chapter 13, we know the story very well. The spies had gone out into the land, and they come back to give their report, and they said, it is absolutely true. Everything that God said, this land is flowing with milk and honey. Look at what we've brought back. What God promised was true. And if it could have just stopped there. Of course, we know that it didn't, because there was that but. But there's these giants in the land. There's no way that we're going to be able to take this land that's flowing with milk and honey because of the giants. And we know what happened to those people over in Numbers chapter 14. It's very vivid, the words that God uses and tells Moses to tell the people. And he tells them in verse 32, "But as for you, your corpses will fall in this wilderness. Your sons shall be shepherds for 40 years in the wilderness, and they will suffer for your unfaithfulness until your corpses lie in the wilderness." You're not going to be able to partake in the land that is flowing with milk and honey because they let the giants get in the way. At 42, almost 43, I can tell you my giants now are a little different than they were when I was younger, but I still had giants. I don't care how old you are. I don't care if you're 16 and you're in high school. I've been there. I know the giants that get in the way that can cause you to lose sight of the honey. And it can be hard. It can be real hard. I remember when I was first married, the giants that I had, that I'm trying to see past the giants to not lose sight of the honey. In my 30s, the giants were different. And I can tell you now with 3 kids, the giants got bigger. And we can very easily lose sight of the honey if we focus so much on the giants. But we know the faith of Joshua and Caleb. And when now all of the corpses are lying in the wilderness, that lost sight of the honey because of the giants, and those that weren't a part of that, but the younger ones, they're now on the border of that land that's flowing with milk and honey. And what does God tell them over in Joshua chapter 1? We cannot forget this. In Joshua chapter 1, in verse 6, "Be strong and courageous, for you shall give the people the possession of the land which I swore to their fathers to give them. Only be strong and very courageous. Be careful to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded you, to not turn from it to the right nor to the left, so that you may have success wherever you go. This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth. This book of the law, sweeter also than honey and the honeycomb. This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do according to all that is written in it. For then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have success. Then you will be blessed. Then you will be able to see the honey. You will be able to partake of the honey. And finally, again in verse 9, have I not commanded you, be strong and courageous? Do not tremble or be dismayed. Why, God? Why should we not be dismayed? Why should we not tremble? Why should we not worry about the giants? For the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. God said He was going to be with them in the beginning. If they would have just accepted that, they all would have been able to partake of the honey. Don't let the giants stand in your way. They're going to be there. I promise you that. They're going to be there. But God says, I'm there. And God's a lot bigger than the giants. And God has blessings in abundance that He is going to provide for us. If we miss heaven, if we miss the promised land, we've truly missed it all. If we can help you tonight, if you're struggling in some way, maybe the giants have gotten so big that you've lost sight of the honey. Let us help you. God is there, but He's also put us in this place to be a help to you as well. Let us help you with that. All that any of us want to do is get to heaven. We want to get to that promised land. And we want to take as many people as we can with us. So if we can help you in that endeavor in any way this evening, please come forward as we stand and sing the song that's been selected.